Hello everyone, my name is Ajay Poddar. I am part of Informatica GCS team. As a part of today's presentation, we are going to see incremental data load using S3v2 connector in CDI Advanced mapping. As a part of today's presentation, we will be covering on this agenda: incremental data load, how to incrementally load the data using S3v2 connector in CDI Advanced mapping, and the demo. So let's try to understand on incremental data load. This feature allows you to load only the file that have been changed since the last run, saving the time and resources. You can enable this by selecting the incremental file load option and setting the source type as a directory in S3v2 data object option. A key point is the 15-minute buffer, which ensures that the job only picks up complete files, accounting for any delay in file uploads. You can also override or reset the load time setting if you need to perform a full load or reprocess file. However, if there are no any changes in source file, especially with the complex format file like Parquet or Ebro, the mapping will fail. This is the step to perform the incremental data load. So for this you will need to update the source type as a directory, and folder path you need to specify, that will be the S3 bucket path, and the file name which you want to incrementally load to the target. Also you need to check the box for allow wildcard character, enable recursive read and incremental load under this source advanced section. Now let's see on demo how we can incrementally load data using S3v2 connector in CDI Advanced mapping. Log into IDMC console, select data integration and create a new advanced mapping. So this is my advanced mapping, which is reading and writing from the source. So the source which I have selected here is S3v2 connector, and you need to import the object from this S3v2 connector. Select, so in this bucket I have the three file. You can import any one file. I am importing aj1.csv. Select the file format. For me it is a flat file. Now once you have imported the object, go to the advanced section, and under this advanced section you need to select the source type as a directory, and you need to update the folder path, that will be the S3 bucket path, and the file name. So folder path for me is infa gcs test/ajay, which I have updated here. File name you can give asterisk if you want to incrementally load all the file under this directory. If you want to load only specific file name, then you can give the name like aj asterisk. So whatever file name start with aj and end with any number, then all the numbers will get incrementally loaded to your target file system. So in my case I will be loading all the file on this bucket. Similarly, you have to check this box for allow wildcard characters, enable recursive read and incremental file load. Now once you have configured for this source, you need to import the target file. Select the same S3 connection where you want to incrementally load the data, and select the object. So I will create the object at the runtime. For that you need to specify the bucket name or the bucket path along with the file name, which will be generated at the runtime, or else you can also import the object from the existing bucket. And select the file format. So in my case it is flat file. Please note that if you are incrementally loading the data from S3 connection or S3 bucket, then ensure that the schema of the file present on that particular S3 buckets are same and identical. If there is any file where the schema is different from the current file which was imported, then the data will not be loaded for that particular file. Now once you configure this mapping to incrementally load the data, save this mapping and run this mapping. View the job status. My job is in the starting phase. My job started running. Open this job. My mapping succeeded. Now let's see on S3 bucket. This is my S3 bucket AJTGT, which I have specified on the target data object. Let me refresh. So these were the file, this three file, AJ1, AJ2, AJ3 were my files on the source S3 bucket, and those all files were loaded on this part file. You can see the data were loaded. Similarly, in another part file, the remaining data were loaded. Now let's try to do incremental data load operation. For that, I'll be loading the next load, that is this AJ4 and AJ5 file. So this is my source S3 bucket where I had the three file. I'll place this two new file on this source S3 bucket. So file were added, that is AJ4 and AJ5 is my new file, and in this file I have the data like 21 and 22, and in AJ5 I have the data with 51 and 52. Now let's try to rerun the mapping, which will incrementally load the data to same file. Log into IDMC. You can rerun the same mapping or restart the same mapping from this job monitor. I am restarting the mapping. Next run is in the starting phase. Now it started running. Click on this incremental load for the next run. Let's wait for the mapping to get succeeded. My next run is also succeeded. Now let's try to validate the target bucket from the S3. AJTGT is my target bucket. Refresh it. Now we have the same two part file. Refresh. Now let's see on this part file what were the data get loaded. So we move the two new file to our source S3 bucket, that is AJ4 and AJ5, which has the data with 21 and 22 serial number, and in another file it has the data with 51 and 52 serial number. So this four data need to be get incrementally loaded to same file. Open this file. Here you can see my two data, that was 21 and 22 and 51 and 52 were incrementally get loaded to my target S3 bucket. Similarly, if you have the incremental file load on your S3 source, you can just rerun the mapping, which will incrementally load the data to your target S3 bucket. For more detailed information on incremental data load using S3v2 connector on Informatica, please refer this documentation. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us a mail to supportvideos@informatica.com or tweet us on twitter.com/infasupport. Thank you.